Hey, my anti-socialites. Today with me, I have Adriana Bernabel, also known as AD. What's up, girl? How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Miss Socialite?
I am doing fabulous, thank you. I'm so happy to have you on my platform to discuss because for everybody like that pays attention to my show, we talk about Legendary Media Group all the time. I've interviewed probably a majority of the group, right? And I haven't had a
Right.
chance to sit down because you've been super busy. So now that you have a little bit of time to pencil me in, I'm so excited to get the opportunity to chat with you.
Of course. Absolutely love the fact that, especially under the conditions of this pandemic, that we're able to fellowship with one another. So thank you for again having me on your platform.
Of course, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, AD, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us the bio that we need to know about you.
Sheesh. Where do I start? Okay, bio. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. That's the city that created me. My mom's side, all from New York. So they all got this accent, the little Hispanic accent with a little New York twang in it. My dad's side of the family is from Dominican Republic, mom's side, Puerto Rican. So I'm a mutt. And yeah, relocated, moved a lot. And now I'm based out of Orlando, just graduated with my graduate degree, my master's in new media journalism. Whew.
Congrats. I know that was a mouthful. You're like,
Uh,
I need a
so
nap just from saying what I graduated in. Yeah.
I need a nap just from graduating. Like I needed to take a full 2 week hibernation because all-nighters affected my brain to the nines. It's no joke.
I know, but now you're finally done. So all those all-nighters definitely proved their worth because you graduated as salutatorian, right? So
Yeah,
yes. So I'm like, I got a smart cookie here on my show today. I'm excited.
I try sometimes.
Sometimes as you're like killing yourself, like trying to get this work done and all that, and your dissertation, which was like 1,000 pages long, you're like,
Yeah,
they want this one.
63, I think.
Yeah.
63 pages for my graduate project, and then like 6, 7 interviews with professionals and experts in the field. And just thank God for them because they are truly what made the project. And yeah, it was just about the importance of representation in the field of entertainment media. This field is so it's getting to be super diverse and there's so much that goes into it, and I feel like having that representation on and off screen is really important, and not just talking about race but gender as well.
Absolutely. No, so I'm glad that you are like, I'm going to pave the way for other people to like really get into this industry and push because there's, like you said, there's not a lot of representation. There's underrepresentation, I guess is a nice way to really put it, unless you're in certain markets. Like if you live in Texas or Southern California, you may see this because networks will be different. The shows that are broadcast would be different. But in the Northeast, I mean, you grew up in New York, I grew up in Massachusetts. We don't have that as much as like what should be out there. I mean, New York, yes, but like not to the extent. But
No, I know what you mean. And especially like I feel like when there are platforms like that, like it's specifically towards for that group. Like Telemundo is strictly for Latin speakers, and then BET, it's all about like Black entertainment. But I really feel like mainstream media is urban media now. Like urban media is technically more mainstream than it was 5, 10 years ago. So to see that representation on and off screen, I watched an amazing interview. It was with Net A Porter magazine, and they had an interview, and it had Ellen Pompeo from Grey's Anatomy. Absolutely love that show. Gabrielle Union Wade, Gina Rodriguez, and Emma Roberts. And I love Ellen Pompeo for the facts because her husband is Black and she has mixed kids. So she understands that there is a struggle, and she's been in this industry. She was on Grey's Anatomy for like what, a whole decade. That show's been on for forever.
yeah, since I
And she
was in
talks about,
college. Yeah. And I graduated in
yeah,
2007. So
uh-huh. So it's been on for a minute, and she said, I love that there's representation like right here, but I feel like when I walked into this room, I didn't see it behind the cameras. And I want to walk into a room and I want it to look just like the outside world we live in, because this is not realistic on the platform that they invited her to. And she does not hold her tongue. So I just love Ellen Pompeo. She's a beast.
Yeah, I think both on screen and off screen, she's a really good person in general. So for her to be using, I mean, this platform, but also her personal platform to really speak these truths is huge, because a lot of people are going to do it for their image, or, oh, I'm just going to keep it safe, and just be like, this is my life in bits and pieces. But it's nice that she actually gets to vocalize that, because it is true. Yeah. But you, like, do you want to be on screen more, off screen? Do you want a mixture? Because we keep talking, and in the group, and we just mentioned this before we started recording, DJ Damage is always like, AD, you have to get on the radio. You have such a dope voice. We need to get on there, which I agree. I think, like, if I were to listen to the radio in the morning and you were on there, I'd be interested. Some people just have flat voices, and I'm like, okay, right. I'll be driving, falling asleep, right? But you have so much more to you. So that's why I kind of want to know. I'm like going on. I just asked you a question and like going on for 2 minutes, but I want to know, like, where do you stand in terms of like being able to be on camera, off camera, split? Like, where do you stand for what you want to do?
So my first love has always been acting. That has literally been my driving force since I was little. I was lucky and grateful enough to come from my dad's side, who are entertainers. My dad, he's a musician. He can play basically like any instrument. He's a prodigy. My aunt, she was a model. Like, all of my dad's side are entertainers. So they really like brought that out of me. And their personalities within themselves. So being a media personality, most actress, radio, like entertainment media, all that, like that passion, it really comes from the same place. So that's where I want to be. So whether it's on screen, on the mic, on your TV screens, in the movie theaters, I want to be versatile with it. I feel like the person I would like to compare what career I would ideally love to have is Lala. So, I mean, Lala started, y'all saw her from the beginning, hosting, and then she transitioned from hosting and radio all the way to acting. Like, she power, come on.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, her career definitely is someone that I would like to mirror and mimic.
Yeah. And I think right now, just like being in 2021, we see that one personality, right, that's in Hollywood or whatever you want to call it, is never just that one profession that they came into. It's like Ludacris. He was a rapper. Now he's an actor. Now he's doing this.
Did you know that?
Yes. Yeah. So it's like so crazy, because I'm just like, and everybody, even like The Rock, he was a wrestler, and now, and now he's an actor and talking about potentially like running for president, or it's like rumored out there that people want that. So I feel like for you, wanting that versatility is an advantage that you have over other people, because you're just eager to fulfill your passions. And it's not even to say, oh, I'm eager to just do everything and be rich. Like, you're eager to actually go out there, be like, I'm passionate about this. I want to exercise my craft and just like have fun doing it. Right. Sure. Yeah.
It's like, if you could tell me I could just live just doing what I love for the rest of my life, that's what's important. Working a job that's going to pay me all this just to make me miserable, no, I'm not willing to jeopardize like my interests, my loves, and my passion. And I feel like that really separates generations, because looking at, like, say my mom started the family, they always talk about, oh, you just need to get a job, like go ahead and work, get paid, get bread. And it's like, no, I have standards. I'm not going to work for a company that doesn't value me. I know my worth. I know what I can bring to the table, and I know my value. I'm never going to jeopardize my mental health. I will quit a job, right, for my mental health and my sanity. Even if I don't have any bread, I rather quit my job, because my mental health is the most important thing to me, because I see people who become miserable and depleted and a worse version of themselves because they're working for somebody that they literally just kills them, because a company like these fast food companies, to name a few, Dunkin', they only care about, you know, their products, their customers, money, and they can get a new employee like that, you know? So
Now, what has been the worst job you've ever had? Speaking of, because you're like, if I'm about to quit this shit because y'all ain't treating me right, bye. So I didn't know if you've ever actually had a job where you're like, my mental health or my sanity is at risk. So I'm going to step out this door and never come back.
So I actually have a couple. So one that really affected my mental health, and I noticed myself changing and I had to do something about it. So I had an assistant manager, or like a team lead, right? I worked for this pizzeria. And this pizzeria is around a lot of the turnpikes here in Florida. And when I was working there, one of them, he would just be so negative, right? And just so emotionally draining. And he was that type of lead to tell me about his personal business. Like, oh yeah, my girl, like she's like this, and this. And like she worked in the company with us. And oh, she doesn't even care about me. And when you tell your coworkers about your relationships and then you go back and complete these cycles over and over again, and it's like, weren't you just saying how she drains you, but you're getting back with her? And then because he was negative all the time, I'm like, yo, chill. And then he was like, I'm your lead, you still got to respect me. And it's like, but you're making the lines very blurry when it comes to me being an employee who's under you and you being a team lead. And then I just had enough, and he was just being really mean. So I just put like a lot of salt in his lunch one day when he wasn't looking. And he got one of the managers from the other places to come, like, that tasted really salty. He automatically blamed me, right? Because I was the only one he could blame. And from that, literally, I said, take out my cash register. I put my cash register in the back, and I never returned.
Wow. But you know what? That's what people don't understand. Like, they're in this level of power, right?
Mm.
And they're like, I'm going to tell you all about my life, and I'm going to get super personal and inappropriate and not, understanding the dynamic of, not even to say employer employee, because he was a colleague of yours, right? But it's like, he's telling you all about his personal life, which doesn't affect work. And then he's like turning around and being like, oh, but you need to respect me. Like, bro, you're not respecting me. I just want to make this pizza and check these customers out, and off I go. And you're telling me all about your like personal dirty laundry. Get out of here.
Right. Like, I can totally do, like, when I'm working with you, I'm super relatable. So people feel like they can go ahead and express to me like their lives. My undergrad was actually in social work. So I'm a good active listener. So when people are communicating to me, it's like I'm just listening. And sometimes people just want to talk just so you can listen. They don't really want advice. So I'll make sure to make it acquaint, like, do you want advice? Do you want my opinion? Or are you just venting just to vent? I feel like that's super important. I'm all big and about boundaries in every atmosphere that I'm in. And he broke a lot of those boundaries with that. So I just felt myself draining and just not enjoying coming to work anymore. Because at first, like, I loved it. I got to eat whenever I wanted. I would always eat slices of pizza. Pizza is my favorite food. I'm from New York. So,
Mine
those
too.
slices, yes, slices are everything. And yeah, I don't know, I felt myself changing because that negativity really just when it's in your environment and you let that fester, it does enter into you. So I'm all about positivity, and he was making my optimism turn negative. So I had to bounce.
And that's so sad that one person could literally affect your whole outlook on not even just like that location, but maybe an entire company. Because if he's representative of the company, you don't even want to, refer people to go eat there or consume their products anymore. Because you're like, I just hate all of you at this point, Yeah.
And it was only him. So that's the sad part.
Now, what's the other bad job that you've had?
Oh, Dunkin'.
Okay.
I worked for Dunkin', and when I tell you, again, it was like a lead issue. So I felt myself, like, I told them initially when in my interview, this is the question that I asked all the time, and depending on your answers, because when you're interviewing the company to see if you want to work there, and they're interviewing you to see if you're a good fit. And during my interview, first thing I asked when she says, do you have any questions? Yes. How is your communication in this company? And depending on that answer, I decided, okay, one thing that I really love about our company is the fact that we do communicate. You know, we have this group chat, and if anyone has an issue, they put it in the group chat. And we really do have like that rapport where we want to feel welcome and like a family. And I said, okay, perfect. So you have an effective communication. Great. Their communication was trash. I cannot work for a company. I told her in my interview, I can't work for a company that doesn't have an effective communication. In the beginning, I told them my times, my hours, and my schedules, when I could work and what time. So for scheduling purposes, I said, I have school and assignments. Sunday and Wednesdays, don't schedule me during those days. Every other day, I'm fine. What did they do? The first 3 weeks scheduled me on Sundays back to back to back. And I told them, I was like, why are you scheduling me on Sundays? Oh, she didn't tell me you're going to work. I was like, what do you mean she didn't tell you? Don't you look over the paperwork for the new hires to know when you can schedule them? You can't just schedule them any type of bit. That makes zero sense. So communication there. And then I see myself not on the schedule. What's going on? I was working the day before. He said, and I quote, he said, oh, if you can call me for something. I said, if I'm not on the clock, I would pretty much appreciate it. Like, if I'm not on the clock, I'm not working. So you can talk to me while I'm on the clock.
Right. Good for you.
And I'm the type of person that my words have so much power. I can make you feel very dumb if I need be. And I try not to do that, right? But with him, he was very, so he deserved it. Like he deserved it. So I used all these big words, and I'm pretty sure he didn't understand any of the big words that I was using. I sent it to him, and I just wasn't scheduled anymore. So I'm never called him to see what the concern was, because
right. You're like, I don't even care at this point. That's crazy though. Yeah, communication is like such a huge thing. So it's like, if you can't even get your shit together in this one location, like, it's not that hard to make a schedule based on availability. I've been doing this like since 2005.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. He was trash. And then he expected me to know all these drinks without proper training. Like, and when I tell you there's a lot of drinks, you need to know how to make macchiatos. You need to know how to make lattes. You need to know how to make, what's the difference between a macchiato and a regular coffee, extra espresso, decaf espresso, the difference between the beans. You got to know how to make all the new drinks, signature drinks. And it's like 2 days of on the hand training for a couple of hours. My brain isn't going to retain that. And they made me feel guilty. So I cried the second day because it was very cliquey. And the leads, who were younger than me, right? They're like probably like in high school still. One of them, like, she was getting annoyed and irritated by me. And when I get mad, I start crying. I don't know why, but that's like a bad sign. So I just had a breakdown, and I broke down in the back.
I've done that before too. So, but people don't realize, like, people that work in the food industry, whether you're serving or you're in the back prepping or actually cooking, it is not for the faint of heart. Like, I literally could not do that ever. And I'm like, I give props to people all the time. You know, my brother works in the food industry right now. And I'm just like, to deal with, and I've been in retail forever, but I'm like, to deal with like clients or customers is one thing, but then having to like give them a product that is a consumed thing, not a handbag or a pair of shoes or whatever. Yeah. It's a lot of freaking work, and you're so underpaid for it. So you're just like, I am not going to sit here and deal with the miscommunication, the poor treatment, the this and this for scraps. Like, that's really yeah,
it is.
Oh, so crazy. Well, you know what? I'm so happy that you're past those experiences. I
can't work for food anymore because those experiences, people, especially for food and beverage, people are very like about their food. I've had a pizza thrown at me because they got mad at policy. Yeah.
Are you serious? People are psychotic.
Yeah,
Absolutely psychotic. You're like,
I
dude,
know.
first of all, that was a perfectly good pizza. Why the hell did you need to throw
What?
it? Yeah. So rude.
I'm
You're like,
like,
that is wasteful. You know, there is somebody in the world that would be happy to have that, you ungrateful bastard. And number
yeah.
two, don't ever throw anything at me again.
Oh my gosh. But it is what it is. Kill them with kindness.
Exactly. But you know what? The only time we're going to see you working in food industry anymore is if you're like shooting a commercial for a brand, right?
Yes, that is the only time I can't do food anymore. I can't. I can't.
No, you'll have PTSD trying to go in there. You're like, oh, all these flashbacks are coming back. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Hit the nail on the coffin.
Damn, girl. Well, I'm glad I got to know that side of you too, because I'm like, you know, but this has shaped you of who you are as a person and your work ethic. And you're like, so when I like arrive at work on the set of somewhere, just know that I'm also going to treat the craft services people nicely. Okay. It's not just your fellow actors, but so crazy. So you're still in Orlando because you just graduated and you're like now stepping into your new career, no more food services, but your new career. So tell me about some projects that you're starting to get working on now, currently working on, what you want for the future, because it sounds like Orlando may be home for just a little bit longer until you get to spread your wings and go somewhere new.
Yeah, so I honestly love this city for multiple reasons. Not only is it super diverse, and that's something that's always been important to me is diversity. It's been a huge staple in my life, but there's a lot of opportunities here. So besides the weather too, the weather
Of
helps,
course.
sun all the time. But no, I actually got an opportunity here for being a subcontractor within the Mirror Productions. I actually did a job within the Mirror for a pilot for a couple of shows, and one of their shows did take off onto Orlando's PBS station. Super thankful for Ramses for that opportunity. And he connected with me about a potential marketing opportunity, which would involve me doing two of my favorite things, being on camera and eating food. So I'm super psyched about that because going to festivals and eating food, going to restaurants and just divulging into meals, like I like to throw down and I can cook myself. So seeing these just getting paid to just eat on camera, sign me up.
That is a dream come true.
Yes. So
You're like, you know what? I like this route that I'm going for. Like, this is a good thing that's happening right now. I could
yes.
do this for my whole career and never get sick of it.
Never ever get sick of it. Like I remember being little watching Rachel Ray on the Cooking Network and just taking notes when I was such a little girl. Oh my gosh, that used to be my favorite thing to do. I made so many recipes I would copy off of her and just like adapt them into like my life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm low-key kind of living it now.
Yeah, because you're like, now I'm an adult and I really can like afford to get these ingredients and make my own things. When you're a little kid, you're like, Mom, Dad, can you go buy this for me? Like, why do
Yep,
I have to get 3 pounds of cilantro at the grocery store? Like, what are you trying to do right now? You know? So
exactly.
that's so awesome. Well, I'm excited for you. And then you have to let us know where we can find you. So when you're on camera doing your food critiquing, I'm like, I want to check this out and see, because I'm the pickiest eater. So maybe you will inspire me like Rachel Ray inspired you, and I will try new dishes.
100%. Just make sure you guys follow my Instagram account at Evilise88 and you will see my journey, my food, inspirations, and which places are do's and don'ts. I mean, I'm already doing that. There's this place in Orlando. It's called World of Food Trucks, and it's literally a bunch of food trucks from like different countries or different food items, and they have them all in one area together. And it's the coolest thing because all the trucks are decorated different. Some have faces on them, and the food too is to die for. So check it out.
No, that's so good to know, because I just went to this place that Lamar, who's in our group, had
Mhm.
recommended to me in Tampa called Speakman Wharf or Sparkman Wharf.
Okay.
Sparkman. And they had all the different, but they were stationary. They weren't like actual mobile food trucks,
Right.
but there was all these different vendors and it's just like a great outdoor space. I'm like, I love this. Boston needs something like this. So now that like it sounds like Florida's the land of food trucks, I'm like, I'm gonna have to come to Orlando and check this out.
It so is, because even downtown, like after you hit the clubs at nighttime, there's like a section right by the park with food trucks too. Like they know drunk people, drunk young people, they be hungry after they go to the club. So they have them stationed there too. So it's convenient.
That's awesome. Depending on like the certain club that you would go to in Boston, so Fenway Park where the Red Sox play, both during game days, but also there's like some clubs and like House of Blues and stuff down there. There was always a sausage cart, you know. So like my friends would be so hammered and be like, "We need a sausage. It's 2 a.m. I'm drunk and hungry." And then if you go to Faneuil Hall, which is like the historical like Quincy Market area, there was a
Mm.
McDonald's that was open. That's about it. You know, so it's like we don't really have those like food trucks, you know, moving around, going late night spots. Like that's definitely an area of opportunity for Boston to like be more hip because I feel like we're so boring here.
I don't know how far is Lawrence. I don't remember. How far is Lawrence from you? Do you know?
I would say like an hour to hour 15 minutes, not too far.
Yeah, because Lawrence, I know my dad's side of the family, they are all located in Lawrence.
Really?
I used to live in Lawrence. Yeah,
No
one of my
way.
yeah, little Dominican Republic, and there's a lot of good food options if you go to the right, but a lot of good like Spanish food. So
That's good to know because one of my friends is Dominican and he lives like just south of Boston, but
yeah,
literally all his friends and family, everybody, they live in Lawrence. So he is there 24/7. And I'm like, bro, just like go move up there, you know? But it's like he's always going, they're always going out to like hookah lounges, restaurants, all this stuff, like anything like Dominican.
yeah.
So yeah, that's so cool. So I think you have to come back to Massachusetts and come for a little family reunion and then we can meet up when you're here.
I do. I don't go often, but my aunt lives in Methuen, so I do go. And then I have another aunt who's still in Lawrence. And when I try, I go back to little Dominican Republic over there because that's exactly what that is. It's little DR.
That's so cute. And I've never been, so I need you to introduce it to me and then I'll try some of the foods.
I
That's so
got
awesome. I didn't know that. I thought you were just like born and raised in New York. And then all I knew is like that you just, in my mind, this is why I'm so
yeah.
happy I'm getting to talk to you. It was New York and Orlando. But you did mention you've lived some other places. So I'm like, oh, you were in Massachusetts too? Like, I'm loving this.
So I was born in New York, and then I moved to, well, my mom moved us to Massachusetts. We lived in Lawrence and then in Methuen. And then after that, moved to Tampa. Then from Tampa, I moved to Pennsylvania. After Pennsylvania, moved to Ohio. After Ohio, moved back to Pennsylvania for college. And then after my undergrad, moved to Orlando and then lived in Orlando, did my master's in Orlando. And next is TBD.
Yes, I'm so excited to see where you land next because I'm like,
I know. I'm excited too.
but where has been your favorite place to live out of all of those locations, both childhood and adulthood?
Sheesh, that's a hard one. Out of all of them, I would definitely say New York because I don't know, New York just to me is like was very homey, especially like in that time period, like early 90s to 2000s. And it's a completely different city now from when I was a kid. Like super gentrified and not only gentrified, but like different like in terms of like cultural wise. So I would say yeah, I like between New York and Orlando. Those have been my two favorites. And then my least favorite was Ohio because
I knew it.
and I lived there the longest, I think. Like I'm standing like Orlando and Ohio's like the two, but going to middle school and high school in Orlando, oh my gosh, was so different because we were in the suburbs of Ohio, but being there, it was like you had a lot of intolerance, a lot of ignorance, and that just stood out to me out of everything. So there was that.
Yeah, what suburb were you like? What was the closest city?
So I lived in Columbus, in a suburb
Okay.
of Columbus. So yeah, but it wasn't as I don't know, woke as it should have
And
been.
it's still like that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so.
I knew you were going to say your least favorite was Ohio or Pennsylvania, but I'm like, I don't know why. I feel like she's going to choose Ohio more because I feel like their reputation precedes them for sure. But I'm just like, they're kind of depending on where you live in both states. But I think like overall as a whole, like Ohio is like a state that we just don't need to have in the United States.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow, that was a leap. I didn't expect that.
I'm just like, I feel, and isn't it terrible? My cousin actually lives in Columbus and she's moving to a suburb. She just bought a house,
Yeah.
but she grew up in Illinois. And I'm just like,
Like, do we need it?
you know what? You could come visit me. I don't think I need to go. I
Right.
mean, even though you didn't have the best experience, you're like, no, we can keep them. But for me, I'm
Right.
like, bye. See you later, Ohio.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. I feel like if I was more in the city versus like how suburban like it was, because it was suburban where you can see like depending on where you go, like obviously like cornfields, but the area I lived in, it was more residential. But yeah, if it wasn't just for, I feel like the intolerance especially, and I feel like the school I went to, I was the only Puerto Rican Dominican in my graduating class. So that alone was just,
That definitely says something. Yeah.
yeah, it was just so I didn't have a good experience there. And it's so funny because when I was there, I was like, oh, I don't want to leave because we moved around so much. But in terms, I do wish we would have either went back to New York or moved to Florida sooner. So
Right. But now you have the option now that you're an adult to pick where you want to live. So you're like, I don't have to be dragged by my parents to go to this like crummy place anymore. I can actually choose where I want to go, which is awesome. And I think your work will determine where you go, but I feel like you're also going to land somewhere that you really want to be, which is a nice,
sure.
yeah.
100%. So either Miami or LA or maybe back to New York. I don't know. Maybe Atlanta. We'll see.
Well, I might have to have you as a follow-up interview once you land somewhere. If you leave Orlando and then you're like, oh my God, I'm here now. We're gonna have that follow-up interview because I'll be curious to see. But I know that will be down the road. You've got to make the most of Orlando right now. It definitely sounds like there's things that are coming out of there that, and we were just talking about this before we started recording, but you don't always have to go to those big cities to be a part of this industry. It's nice to tap into local talent and not be in such a saturated market. So I think that you can be Orlando's like superstar girl.
Oh, for sure. And it's easier. Like they always say it, when you're in a small hub, you could be that big fish versus being a big fish in a big hub with other big fish. So it makes you stand out.
Well, you definitely stand out. Like, even if you were still in Ohio or if you were in LA, girl, you're a standout. So
Don't make me cry, get emotional.
yeah, but you only cry when you're mad. So no, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, I cry. I'm very emotional. I'm very top to emotional. I cry when I'm mad, but like super like livid mad. And then I cry during movies and cartoons because I'm just emotional and I just love to cry, So
It's a good thing. Let those emotions seep out. You don't have to repress it. You're embracing it.
Yes. No, I always embrace it, especially when Netflix is on or Amazon Prime. I'm most likely crying because I cry in a show, my TV shows. When they end or like during, it's like these characters are my family. They're not just characters on a show. Like these are my friends, So
Right.
I'm into my friends every week.
You're like, I have invested hours of my life to be with you people. You are in my circle now. You can never leave. You're always a part of my life.
When they do, I cry and I bawl.
I love it. And hopefully you'll have the same effect on us when you're on camera and we're going to be like, oh my God, AD.
Yes, exactly. So that part.
That's what we're aiming for. All right. So I have a fun game for you. I'll trick up my sleeve because I know you're a foodie.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay. And I know that in the past you did, I believe it was an Instagram live because I tuned in, but you were critiquing food.
Oh
on
yeah,
there with your friends, right? And all those like crazy dishes.
my food
So
takes. Yeah.
I happen to grab some stuff out of my cabinet that I want you to critique.
This is interesting. Let's get it.
Yes. So it's just basic stuff that, you know, my niece is like, you need this for your house. You need this. I haven't even tapped into any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So that it's all unopened products that I'm like, oh, I want you to critique them and tell me what your thoughts about each of these items.
Oh golly, let's do it, because I do love to cook myself, and I always be making fun of people who can't cook. And not only, oh no, see, mom, listen, Food Network is a thing, Google is a thing. I'm a firm advocate. All you need in life to be successful is seasonings. You get your oregano, you make sure you have your chili powder, you make sure you have some sazon, and you'll be good. You can cook anything. And onion and fresh vegetables, you're good.
Okay. I think you need to host like a cooking show and I'll tune in and then go from there. Cause I'm like, I make a bomb grilled cheese. That's about it.
I mean, you can mess up grilled cheese. So if you can make it good and cheesy.
Yeah. My big like thing is like, I can make lasagna. And everybody's like, that's so hard. I'm like, no, it's not. And if I can make that and you think that's hard, I'm like, well, maybe I'm onto something.
There you go.
Right? I have to give myself some credit. All right. So the first item that I have, AD, is Nutella.
Oh, yes.
Tell me what you think about this little jar right here.
So I used to eat it. I don't advise this. Children do not do this. I used to carry, back in my big old purse carrying days, a big jar of Nutella and a spoon in my purse. And
I love you.
I would eat the jar of Nutella. One big jar of Nutella like would go away in like 2 days with the spoon. And when I was bored, I would just eat the Nutella. Do not do this, please, because you will gain so much weight. But yes, it's great to go with strawberries. If you want a chocolate covered strawberry and you just don't want to go through the time of like having to melt strawberries inside of a pan, I would suggest going ahead and just getting some Nutella and strawberries. Rinse the strawberries off, put the Nutella on it, and you have a great chocolate covered strawberries. It's perfect. Or if you're an in the rush type of person and you don't have cream cheese or you don't want cream cheese, make sure you get a cinnamon raisin bagel, you toast it and you put some Nutella on top, and then boom, you're on your way to go. And if you want to be a little bit more gourmet with it, chop up a banana and put that on top of the Nutella inside the bagel, and boom, call it a day.
Damn girl, because I have cinnamon raisin bagels in my cabinet too. So that might be my lunch at this point. I'm like,
there you go.
I love it. Now, this one I wasn't sure if you would fully know about, but because you lived in Massachusetts, you have to know what this is. Okay.
Oh, I have to. Okay. I was also a kid, so.
Because a lot of people in different states are like, what the hell is that? Right. And this was my brother's request that we have this in the cabinet.
Okay.
Fluff.
I know what fluff is.
Okay, fluff. Good. Because a lot of people don't. They're like, what the hell do you, like, New Englanders, what is this? So that's why I was like, ooh, I gotta like pop quiz her and see.
So with fluff, I used to be like, fluff gives me very much, it's basically like, have you seen Ghostbusters?
Yes.
Okay, so the original Ghostbusters, when that big marshmallow man, that's fluff. That's what I was like, oh, this is fluff, because that's ultimately what fluff was, inside of a marshmallow. I'm more of if I really don't see the purpose of fluff. I'm gonna be real with you, okay? Because if I need hot chocolate, I'm putting marshmallows in that John. I'm not putting in any substitute. Doesn't make it. And if I don't want marshmallows, I'm gonna put some of that ready whip on top.
Yeah.
And mwah. But I don't see the purpose for fluff. I'm sorry.
This is why I asked. This is why I'm like, you are the foodie, so you got to give us like the critique. No, this is good.
Too fresh. Literally, you want to make a home s'more. You don't need fluff. You know what you do? Put those marshmallows. Make sure you always wet. So before you put them in the microwave, so they're not weird on the outside texture. A little trick is you run the cold water from the sink and you wet the marshmallows and then put them on top, and it's like more creamier. It gives it a more creamier texture instead of being like rough on the outside.
It's like the more you know.
Mhm.
Wow, didn't know that either.
Yeah.
See, this is why I'm happy I'm doing this. Damn. All right, I'm gonna throw in a healthy thing because I pulled from my freezer.
Love healthy.
Smoothie. What do you think of smoothies? These I hand make these. Like I got these little jars
Okay.
at Target. It's like super frozen. I just took it out because I've finished all the other ones. But
Okay.
it's like strawberry, banana, kiwi, blueberry, blackberry, everything in here. What are your thoughts on smoothies?
Okay, so it's depending on the smoothie. So another fun fact, when you are making a smoothie, if you're doing fruits or if you're doing like a veggie smoothie, the longer you take before consuming it after blending the product, the less the nutrients go away. So when you blend something, like I always try to make this detox in the morning, I absolutely love. It's you put a cucumber, a small pit of ginger, pineapple chunks, and lemon. You squeeze that up, put it in the blender, and then I strain it because I don't like the little chunky parts in the bits. So I usually get a strainer for it to like be like smooth in consistency. You have to drink it within the hour because then it's not fresh, you know, and
Yep.
you're gonna lose a lot of those like important nourishments that is the purpose you're drinking those smoothies. But if you're just doing it for taste and just for enjoyment, by all means, go ahead and just
By all means, just
yeah,
enjoy your smoothie.
exactly. But if you're doing it more for the health side of things, you gotta drink that quick, do it fresh every time.
See, this is good information to know. You are not only just telling us about your experiences, but you are educational on this segment too. Girl,
Purpose.
yes, absolutely. All right, I have two more things to show. People are like a little about this, but rice cakes. I have caramel, which of course I couldn't find like plain ones, but I'm like, these are great with peanut butter. So, what
No?
do you think about them?
So rice cakes. I think if you're a huge avid snacker, which I am, I have a very unhealthy relationship with food. If you need something to munch on, definitely they have caramel rice cakes. The healthiest rice cake is like the non-flavored rice cake. So
Yes,
if you're doing it for health, do the non-flavored version. But if not, I really do bang with the caramel rice cakes, the Quaker especially,
I think
because
that's what I
they're,
got.
yeah,
Yes, that is what I got.
it
Yes.
is so just like you feel like you're cheating, but you're not really cheating at the same time. So it's helpful. And again, you can just munch, munch, munch. But be careful if you have a delicate mouth because it sometimes like hurts like the roof of your mouth. And I feel like sometimes I'm like, ouch, it's supposed to be good for me. Why are you
This
hurting?
hurts so good. Like, ow,
Like,
come on.
stop.
I
So
know, but no, it's like hashtag worth it, kind of. So, all right, I have one more. So, speaking of unhealthy, this is like one of the most unhealthy of
mm,
all, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on double stuffed Oreos.
so story time. Um, I am guilty of being that person that everyone hates. Don't judge me for this. Contain your face because I know you're gonna make a face. I am the girl in the house that gets double stuffed Oreos, but I'll lick the cream, put the cookie back, and put it back in the thing, knowing dang well there's other people in the house. So when my brother or my mom goes to get the Oreo pack, my brother will take a bite. Ew, where's the cream? And he'll automatically know. He's like, Adrian. He'll go to my mom and be like, Mom, look, she freaking eats the cream. She never puts it back. And they'll yell at me for being gross, but I just can't help myself. And I don't like wasting the cracker. So I feel bad, but I just don't like the cracker. So I just put it back and hopefully they'll eat it.
You were hysterical. I love that. You're like, well, if you're going to buy Oreos for the house, get two, one for me, one for you. That's like simple. You
No,
guys eat out of one.
no, I want them to eat the cracker. I don't want to go to waste. So they just have to eat the cracker.
You are so funny. I've never heard of that before, that you're just like, I'm going to take it out, but then I'm going to put like the cookies back into it. Yeah, you're like, I'm not wasteful. I'm sustainable and I'm giving it for you guys to enjoy. But I took the part that I enjoy the most first. Can't get
Exactly.
mad at me about that.
That's what I'm saying. And I will eat the cracker though if I'm making fried Oreos with you just need pancake batter, make that pancake batter, dip it, and make home fried Oreos. I'll do that. But if it's not fried, then I'm just eating the cream. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, I think.
So when I have guests and they go in my jar, in my cabinet of snacks, and they try to get something, ooh, Oreo. Why does this taste weird? Where's the cream? Oops.
Sorry. You're like, don't touch my snacks. Ask first. Rude.
Or I'll do it and hope that they get the Oreos just so they can have that experience of no cream. So
I think you should record this. I think this is actually something that you're like, I could like create content off of this, like invite friends over and just, but it's like a friend at a time, right? Yeah. And then you have to record their reactions of like when they bite into it and they're like, what the hell?
That's a good idea. It's a very good. I know I will be judged severely, but it's okay.
You're like, but it's good content, so it's worth it.
For sure.
So this was, I think, good practice. So when you start going out and filming for your food critique for your new job, you're like, okay, I already know and love what I'm talking about, but with Katie, I just practice a little bit more.
Exactly.
But those are going to be like full ass meals. They're not going to be like Nutella.
I mean, you can make a meal out of it.
You're like, I did when I had a spoon and a jar in my bag.
No more. Can't do that no more that I'm 25. Back when I was 17, it was okay, but not anymore.
You're like, now that I'm in my mid-20s, I can no longer partake. My body is changing. It's not keeping up. Yes.
Exactly. So
girl, wait till you're in your 30s. It's a whole new ball game.
Don't tell me that. I'm already getting like pre-wrinkle stuff to take care of myself.
Which is good. I have a friend. She's so funny. She's 37, right? I think she's 37. And I used to work with her. And she literally 7 years ago would be like, oh, I'm buying stuff to prevent the wrinkles, to do all of this. She's like, you never know. If you start early, your skin is going to stay flawless forever. And I just saw her the other day and her skin is like still amazing. So I'm like, see, she's not like being reactive. She's being proactive. So I can't hate on you for doing that. I think it's amazing. Right.
To stay youthful as long as I can.
Yes. I love this. I'm so happy I had a chance to chat with you. And before we go, I want you to drop your social handles again, because I know that you said it, but I want to make sure that people go and check you out and follow you, because not only do you do your food, your acting, your radio, I saw your makeup page. I mean, there's lots going on. What doesn't AD do, right? So
eat healthy like I should, but
same. So it's cool. No judgment.
I'm working on it. Yeah, so you guys can go all follow me on Instagram at Evilise88. It's EVALISSE88. I'm also on TikTok, Evilise_88. You can find me anywhere at Evilise88. And that's me, guys. I'm excited.
Yes. Well, thank you for being a part of my show today. I greatly appreciate you. And any last thing that you want to share with us, like, your deepest, darkest secret, or no, I'm just kidding. You're like, and goodbye. No, but anything else that you
secret. Ooh.
I know, right? You're like, where do I go? But yeah, anything that you want us to know about you that I didn't cover with you today.
So have some upcoming things that should be very interesting to look out for. If you guys don't know, I have an episode that I was on with the WWE called Fight Like a Girl. You can check that out on the internet somewhere, because Quibi is no longer a thing. But I have some interesting things in the works, so stay tuned.
Yes, and if they go to follow you, once you actually can let the cat out of the bag, they'll find out.
Exactly, bada bing.
Yeah, girl, you are the best. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And I know you got a photo shoot today. That's why you're looking all fly. So go rock it. And I will be sure to talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Miss Socialites. Appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Mwah.
Thanks, AD.
Thank you.
Bye.